What's up, guys? It's your boy, and we're back with another video. Alright, basically the 4 seed is all about wisdom, alright? And I want to start this off with talking about what I think wisdom is, and kind of relates to this. Wisdom to me is all about basically honest knowledge, but also applied, right? Applied action, applied into your actions. It's not basically, if nowadays a lot of people will get on like the internet, will learn something, will read a book, and we know all about narcissists, or we know all about whatever, cryptocurrency. We know all about these things, but whatever it is, it doesn't matter if you can't apply the knowledge that you learned, you know what I mean? Because what is knowledge that isn't applied, you know what I mean? It's just ideas. It's just ideas that you have floating around your head. Oh, I think this thing and I think that. Everybody has ideas, everybody has opinions. But it's only important when people put those opinions and those ideas into motion and you can actually see the fruits of them. And that is also a big part of wisdom right there. So wisdom is honest knowledge in action, right? And a big part of that is knowing, going back to the 3rd seed, responsibility. How does your actions, you know what I mean, affect others and affect yourselves? When you can look into the future and see, if I take this step of action, it'll do this in my future. If I do this, it'll do that. And we also have to do this from a sense of presence. I've been reading The Power of Now, and you cannot look to the future and yearn for it, you know what I mean? Have this, the future, it's gotta come now, I need the future, because when the future is here, everything will be better, right? It's not so much escaping to the future, but it's thinking, if I do this right now, X, Y, and Z will happen. If I do that right now, this will happen. And it's about using the probabilities of the future from this point of presence, right? So wisdom also has a lot to do with our personal honesty that he has written here. He says Earl Nightingale calls our personal honesty the unfailing boomerang. So basically, if you're not an honest person, it will come back to haunt you. The dishonest activities of any kind, the results will come back. You know, any kind. And the honest results you do, they will come back. Anything you do will have to come back. Life is a circle. God is a circle. Life is a spiral. It's just constantly moving, constantly spiraling. You think you're in one spot, but you might have moved up, you might have moved down. You know what I mean? It's just constant movement. Life is about constant movement. Nothing you could do doesn't have action predicated on the future. You could say, oh, I don't care about anything, so I'm not going to do anything. Your future self will probably live to see your inner truth brought to reality. You not caring about anything. The future you will not care about anything. The future you probably won't have anything to care about because you didn't care about anything in the past, so nothing comes towards you in the future. And he brings, I forget the author's name actually. Dennis Waitley. Alright, cool. So Waitley says he has an integrity triangle, right? So basically, is this true? Is this what I believe I should do? And is what I say consistent with what I do? So, is this true? You know? Think about truth. What is true? Right? Think about it. Feel it. What is it? But then there's also the, is this what I believe to do? Because some things are true. You know what I mean? People say you go to college to get a higher education. That might be true. Let's say that's true for this example. Is that what you believe you should do? Is that what you believe you should do? Bankers make a lot of money. Is that what you should do? Now, it might be true that they make a lot of money, but is that what you should do? Is it consistent with what you do? Do you like dealing with finances? A lot of these also could help you on your path to finding careers and finding jobs. And not even finding jobs, but finding spaces where you can thrive and other people can get value from what you are giving, right? And that's what all this is about. Because when it comes to truth nowadays, people have their own truth, right? They see the world in their own ways, their own filters, right? They have blinders on to kind of see them, gear them in one way. So I think this is honestly a good way, because not only does it incorporate truth, which nowadays is becoming somewhat subjective. You could say, is this what I believe I should do? And does it resonate with me? You know what I mean? Does that work with you? Does that work with who you are as a person? Does that work with where you would like to go? That's wisdom right there. That is wisdom. Wisdom is knowing that something may be true, but it's not true for you. That's real wisdom right there. Sorry, I'm out here in the woods. I felt something bite my foot, so I got a little nervous. So think about that. Think about those. What is true? Is it something you believe you should do? Is it consistent with what you do? Those three integrity triangles, right? But also have the basis. Where is it? An additional question, which you consider after you satisfy that you can be consistent on the 3 points. The base question, which keeps the triangle standing, is, what is the effect of this decision going to be on others involved? So this is basically a premise that I like to think about a lot, is do you do what you want, be who you want, whatever, just don't harm people in the process. You know, you can live your life without harming others. And once you're harming others, you're encroaching on people's life. You're encroaching on people's free will to do what they want to do. That, I think, no good comes from that. No good will come on encroaching on other people's will, because even a worm will turn. So consider the impact of our decisions on other people's lives. The ability to anticipate the probable effects of our decision on other people's lives, as well as our own life, is what is considered to be wisdom. So think about what I said earlier about when you come from a state of presence and you think about your future. You think about not only about yourself, but what will my actions do to other people? Will my actions uplift people? Will they hurt people? Do they have a neutral effect on people? You know what I mean? This will help you tremendously, because I feel like a lot of people, sometimes we might constantly think about ourselves, but sometimes we might also only think about others. You know, people kind of oscillate, or maybe not people in general, but on a spectrum of people, of humanity, there's people who are completely about themselves and people who are completely about other people. So I want to take it a step further that's not mentioned in this book, and also see the effects that it has on you, right? Your actions have on you, because you could be the greatest person for your family. You could be the greatest person for your friends, the greatest person for them. But if you don't have the foundation of really acknowledging yourself, then all that will just kind of go away. You know what I mean? All that will crumble. Matter of fact, you'll probably resent everybody because of you giving so much of yourself. You know what I mean? And you didn't have anything to give back to yourself. I also want to point out, he says in this book, an obvious reason why people don't accomplish more in their lifetime goes back to, I believe, the first seed, self-esteem. So if you weren't taught that you were a great person, that you can accomplish great things, and you weren't shown that and given examples of that, there's a high chance that you probably won't even strive for those things, because it's just not even in your mind, right? Your mind is probably, if you heard that you're a bad person, you're this, you're that, negative, you know what I mean? It's going to really lower your view and where you can see yourself going and where you even want to head, because you don't think, oh, well, I can't be this great person because, well, and you just have this attitude where you can't navigate in a way that would be most beneficial to you, because you see yourself as this lowly person. You know what I mean? And most people have this to one side of a degree. Oh, well, I can't do this because, you know, I'm just not that person. Well, I mean, nobody was ever born that person, you know what I mean? It takes growth, commitment, change, energy, momentum that you have to build up over time. Kind of like the boomerang we were talking about earlier. You have to start the inertia, the momentum, get things rolling, get things going, just for them to pick up speed for you so that you can push forward. Nowadays, a lot of people have an aversion to doing more than what's necessary, right? So just doing the bare minimum to get by just isn't enough, you know? That won't suffice for anything. That's mainly the reason why people go to school, continue school, and then done studying, done learning, because the thought process is, once I've learned there, I'm done. I don't have to learn. But the trick is to become a student of life. So you're constantly learning, constantly taking in information. You're walking around like a child, bro. They see life. Oh, why? Why? How? Why? Then you get older, you're just like, oh, well, that's weird. Oh, why would they do that? Oh. You know, it's coming from this place of there's judgment, and you're not really being able to kind of be in it like, oh, okay, like, why? You know what I mean? You're not asking the question, why is that? You're more, you know, this curiosity, you have to grow this. A lot of people have their curiosity squandered and their flame snuffed. And I think that's what causes a lot of low self-esteem and inability to push forward, because once you lose that curiosity, you kind of lose the sense to know, the sense to grow, and the sense to show, if that makes sense to y'all. Because if you don't want to know anything, there's no sense, you're not really able to grow, and when you can't grow, you can't show anything that you've learned. And it starts this almost like a black hole, is how I kind of see it, where you're just like you kind of fall and you invert into yourself, like this depression, and you're like, you just go back into yourself, you relive memories of yourself, you relive just the ideas that you have in your head, the feelings that you have, you just go over it again. But a lot of people, I think, do this, I even do this, but if you do it without a sense of presence, you kind of get lost in it, and you just spiral, you just go with the water, the motions just move, they flow, ebb and flow, but you're kind of like on a roller coaster with it, versus like going for the ride, like, hey, yeah, woo, heads there. It's more like, holy, oh my gosh, like, yo, okay, bro, I'm getting sick. It's that kind of feeling. So if you could be a little bit more curious about the world around you, about people, cultures, everything, even yourself, more curiosity towards yourself, you'd probably grow in the direction of your curiosity. This isn't a part of the book, but I think that what you're curious about may point you towards your natural talents. So dive into those curiosities and let those kind of take you, let those questions take you, because once you ask the question, the answer will show itself, you know. But you have to ask the question, because the answer is always there, right? The answer will always be there, but if you never ask, you're not on the path of going towards it. And I talk about this in some of my other videos, but you cannot possibly maintain that informed integrity if you let other people run the world for you, while you yourself continue to live out a rag bag of worn out information from old beliefs. So, how can you truly have integrity when you aren't living according to your own compass? You're just doing what the world around you, your family wants you to do, society wants you to do, what social media wants you to do. You are just playing into the game, losing your integrity, losing your sense of self, keeping up with the Joneses, the trends. Oh, well, I'll do this now, and this thing seems super cool and interesting. I might as well go ahead and do that thing. And you just kind of lose yourself in it, you know, because it's not coming from a place of, oh, well, I could do this thing, and wow, okay, this answers my question here, and let me try this out, versus well, I have to do this because this, and if I don't do this, well, and you kind of see the energy there, where it's more of a, you're on a train track, and well, you're about to place yourself on a train track. Life's other people's lives, other people's train tracks that you don't have to ride. You could ride your own train track, but you're caught up in, I have to do what they say because that'll get me this, and once I get this, I think I'll be happy. And usually when people get this, they're happy, right? So I think that goes a long way. Integrity goes a long way, you know, doing stuff that you want to do, not what other people want you to do. To double down on this, Waitley says we should live according to our deep spiritual convictions, our integrity, and our social conscience. This is being true to ourselves while respecting the rights of others. So you don't have to agree with everybody. You don't have to conform to everybody's ideas, you know. You should really grow the ideas within you, grow your own feelings, grow your own sense of spirituality, your own sense of spirit, your own sense of, do you feel the etheric body around you? Do you feel the mental body, the emotional body, the pain body, as Eckhart Tolle calls it? Do you feel these bodies around you? Or are you just kind of locked in your head, and you sometimes feel the pain in your arm, you sometimes feel the pain in your leg, but most of the time you're up here, you know what I mean? Most of the time you're in your head, just thinking things, thinking thoughts, feeling stuff, but it's more of a head thing than an actual feeling it inside of your body. It's more of a, you know. I think a lot of our frustration and pain comes when not living according to those. And I try to find it, Mrs. Broadley's Your Natural Gifts. But basically, the gist I can sense from it is basically, grow your natural gifts. Don't do what everybody else around you wants you to do. They want you to do this thing. They want you to do that thing. They want you to go here. Oh, well, you could become a manager at McDonald's. Doesn't that sound awesome? Is that what you want to do? Some people, that's awesome. Some people, that really works for them. There's no shame here. Everybody has a part to play. It's life, you know what I mean? A snake eats a rat, but the hawk eats the snake. You know what I mean? Who cares which one you are? You're still going to get eaten at the end of the day. So, my thing is, find what actually works for you. Don't take from other people if it doesn't apply. Only a fool would reject advice. But at the same time, do not take what applies. You know what I mean? If you can't apply it to your life, then it's just knowledge. Like we said earlier, built up in your head. You can't do anything with that because it's not applicable to your life. When you grow and understand your aptitudes, the things within you develop a sense of self-understanding and also a sense of compassion, because you might feel that, oh, well, I'm not as great as this person, I'm not athletic, I'm not smart, and I'm actually too chunky to do this. All of this, have some self-compassion, because you have to understand yourself and understand what fits most for you, where you would actually be most happy. Because people think that you have to fit according to some little paradigm, some little level, some little thing that somebody organized before you, right? It's not really like that. It's more of a free-flowing, kind of letting yourself exist, right? Understanding yourself, understanding where you fit in the world. Because if you don't fit somewhere, you can't grow there. But even a rose will grow from the concrete. Ha 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 ha. So yeah, because I do preach about having a good attitude, but it's not just your attitude, you know. You could have a great attitude about the wrong stuff. You could be like, oh, I'm gonna be the greatest this, but that's just not who you are. That's not even who you really want to be. But your ego is so fixated on something that you think you should be doing, right? Something you think you should do because it'll get you a lot of money, because it'll get you the experience, because it'll get you respect, because you think your family will love you, or you think people will love you because of this. My camera's about to die, dang it. So let's see if I could finish it up. So he goes into basically kind of what I was just saying. He talks about how he went to Navy school, and he says at the end it was so hard for him, it was difficult. He said, to please my father, I had unwittingly put myself on a fast track, leading away from my natural talents. So the more you try to appease other people, the more you try to do other things, you separate yourself from what you're actually good at, because you're like, oh, I gotta do this, and because of this person. Okay, so we're back, and I'll start off back with the aptitudes. Basically, if you don't find what really helps your soul grow, what really interests you, what ignites that tiny flame of curiosity that can grow into be like a gigantic fire, you know, it could lead to frustration, right? So I say again to have a little bit of compassion for yourself, especially if you veered off path like he mentioned in this story. Well, I didn't mention the story, but basically imagine a story where you're doing something. Give my own example here, you know, me going to college. Everybody's like, go to college, do college. My heart's not really in college, you know what I mean? My heart is in other things, but I have the reinforcement from those around me to continue to do college, to the point where I do college. After college, I'm completely burned out. Like, it's best to, and I don't really have a clear sense of like what to do, where to go. I did before, but now it's kind of leaving me because I guess times change, and you know, life isn't permanent. So things constantly change. So you change as things around you change, and yeah. So it makes it hard to do that when you veer off path, you know what I mean? When you're not listening to your inner tutor, your inner tuition, because it'll go silent on you. It'll not speak to you for a minute because you chose not to listen to it. Patterns are slightly different. So that was a lot, but basically self-analysis, right? And analyzing the self. Really, out of all those things, which one was really speaking to you? Which one do you think, okay, this, I kind of feel like this. I have a good idea for tone, right? And understand that with such a compassion, and sense of presence also, and let go of the past and the future as you do this. Really sink into what is going on, because like, you don't want to think, for example, like, oh, okay, well, I'm really good with tones, but everybody in my family is really good with their hands too. I should be good with my hands. That might be true, but are you forcing that? Are you forcing that? You know what I mean? Is that really something you're about? I don't know. The mind can play tricky games on you. So, as I stated before, one reason it's so important to identify natural ability is the lack of one important talent may frustrate and thwart an entire career. You know, you've seen clips of it where people are like at the desk job, and they're like, oh, my life sucks, and they end up throwing it all in the trash because they don't really know what they want. You know, they're not satisfied with it because they're frustrated with it, because they haven't really fully analyzed themselves and know, like, this is my talent, this is what I'm strong at. So they're constantly going somewhere where it's reinforcing, like, you're not good at this, you're not good at this, you're not good at this, to the point where somebody might think, I'm just not good, I'm just no good, when truly you're just not good at that particular thing, right? Our careers are a blend of natural abilities, environmental modeling, acquired skills, and experience. Many times our careers hinge heavily on the economic requirements at a pivotal age and family considerations. If we are to develop our lives along the path of greatness, of greatest wisdom, however, we should give serious thought to discovering our inherent abilities as early as possible. So basically, you do see this, like, you have a family of teachers, so you become a teacher, right? Also, it's economical for you to become a teacher. Your mom or your parents can easily get you to become a teacher, so you easily become a teacher. It was easy for you to do. That's the example of economics and also family, right? Bouncing off of each other. And you might have a natural inclination to teach. You were brought up around a school. So keep in mind all of those things, your family traditions. I'm not saying completely forget about them, and the economic factors, because those will definitely shape where you want to go, but never forget about your talents, because your talents will help you to thrive through those. As long as you have the mental lucidity to be able to say, okay, so this is where the economy's turning. I have a talent for this. I think I could fill a void right here. I think I could fill in a gap and provide value right here. So that's the kind of the perspective you gotta have. You can't just have it where you're trying to beat a square peg into a round hole. And I promise we're almost done. So he says here, have a big vocabulary when it comes to wisdom, because most of the time major problems we have in trying to work with each other towards mutually beneficial solutions to our problems lies in our abilities to to express our thoughts in words. So you know, when you're trying to talk to somebody and trying to reach a consensus, but they keep saying something and it's just really taking you off the roadway, they could say it in a completely different way. And you'd be like, oh, I totally get that. But the word they're using is just irking you. It's just getting you. Now flip that. You're doing that to somebody else. You're saying something that you're trying to get a good point across, but they just don't like the words that you're using, right? They just don't like how you're saying it. Not even how you're saying it. They just don't like the word that you're using. You have to know multiple words. You have to be able to grow your vocabulary, so you're not somebody who's but you could also grow. Holy cow. Oh my gosh. That was a deer, holy cow. But yeah, basically, that really flustered me, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Yeah, so basically just learn more words. Learn your vocab. Expand your worldview, expand the knowledge you have. Include more words so you can even perceive the world in a different way. When you are able to learn new words, you're able to actually fit things into categories. You're able to be like, oh, okay, that's this, that's that, that's not this, because that word doesn't fully explain that. I was talking to somebody and I said, oh, it's like having a nostalgia for it. And he's like, oh, no. Like, having a nostalgia, I think the word might be reminisce. No, I don't even think it's that. Because nostalgia is like, you look back at it, but you're kind of sad. You're like sad now, but you're looking back, oh, how great things were back in the past. I think reminiscing is more of a positive one. I'm not too sure, actually. But you can kind of get what I'm getting from this, picking up what I'm drubbing down. So learn only 10 words each day for 1 year. We could become among the most learned and well-spoken individuals in the world. That's his advice. I think that'd be a really good idea. So I'm gonna finish out with a couple of these questions, or I guess steps towards your steps to your wisdom, and then questions about it. So, and just to top it off here, he says, wisdom depends not so much on the number of words we use, but how we use them. Like I said earlier, you don't have to be this insane smart person and you know all these crazy words. Most of the time, if you know all these crazy words but you're not able to formulate them or convey them in the right way towards somebody, it doesn't matter. Like I said, wisdom is all about honest knowledge being applied. It's being in action, you know what I mean? Not in action, but you're using it in action towards something. So 10 action steps towards wisdom. Continue your education regardless of your age. Become a student of life. Simple. When you read, always keep a dictionary. Don't know a word? Look it up. Understand it. Be able to grow. Be able to retain more information. And it'll help you just in life, honestly. I don't know what it is, but it's so weird how we don't know something. We're like, oh, okay, whatever. It's like you could literally just look it up and learn about it. Like, why do we choose to live in a state of ignorance? You know what I mean? Like, just look it up. Literally, that's all you have to do. You're stuck with this rigid frame of mind that you look up the word. Like, look it up if you don't know. It's easy. Read to your children at early ages. Consider taking an aptitude test. So, like I said earlier, take a test where it finds what you're really good at, what you're not so strong at, what you're well-rounded at, so you can fully develop and see what you're good at, so you're not really frustrated in the future. Before you make a decision, ask, is this honest? How would it affect others? You'll never go wrong. Check the aptitudes of your children. If you can find out what your children are really good at, you'll probably lead them on a well-defined road, I shall say. If you're able to say, oh, okay, like they took this aptitude test and they're really good at this and that, you're like, okay, we're gonna have you work here, or let's see if you like this. Let's see, what do you think about this thing? So you can kind of like focus their mind, right? And it said, okay, check the aptitudes of your children by their sophomore years in high school. By the 11th grade, they should be deciding which college or trade school or first job they are going to pursue. By checking and encouraging their natural gifts, you are giving them a fishing pole they can use to fish with for the rest of their lives. Don't pass your career goals onto your kids unless they have determined that they want to enter your chosen field. Simple, right? 7. Think, say, and do what you believe is true consistently in all of your transactions. So don't lie, because lying will come back to haunt you. Get a library card for yourself and every member of your family. Books are the fountain of wisdom. 9. Don't overlook correspondence courses, continuing education, and night or weekend classes. There are also audio and video courses at home. So basically with this, honestly, YouTube University, you learn so much on YouTube. You could listen to audiobooks. You could go on there and listen to seminars. Owen Cook does seminars on providing value, stuff like that, on talking to people. That's something I like to watch. You might want to watch something else. You might want to watch something related to coding. You might want to watch something related to psychology. All these are so prevalent and open in the world, especially on the internet, so it's so easy for you to just look for these things. And model yourself after people you most admire and respect, and above all, set an example of integrity and sincerity for your children and subordinates. Live your life as one of the artisans, sincere artisans, like without wax. Make sure your model is the real thing, sculpted without wax. So I didn't mention that in this, but there was basically sculptors would use wax because they chipped away too much, right, on the sculpt, so they have to use wax to reform it. But some of the sculptures are without wax, you know what I mean? It means I did it perfect. It's good the way it is. I didn't have to add anything else to make it better. So you don't have to add anything to yourself to make it better, you know what I mean? There's not anything you can add to yourself that'll make you a better person. You're already that person. It's about leaning into that. Leaning into what you know, but doing that with a sense of integrity, with the virtues, with patience, you know what I mean, honesty, just leaning into that. So, here, we'll finish this off with some questions about wisdom. Are you honest with yourself and others? How would two persons who know you well answer that? Do others trust you completely? Recall one instance in which you prove yourself trustworthy. Are you going where you want to go, doing what you want to do, and becoming what you want to become? If you could live your life over again, who would you be? Pause and write it down. Are you making the best use of your real talents in your profession? How will you find expression for those talents? What are you doing to expand your vocabulary and your knowledge? Which of these things will you do next? Obtain a library card, buy or borrow a book, and begin reading in your area of interest. Start building that vocab. So the next video is on purpose. Stay tuned. If you stayed watching this whole video, I appreciate that. Thanks. Really do. Yeah, I hope you have a good one. I'm sorry this video is so long, but heck, you could speed it up and listen to it. But anyways, have a good one.